Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into, again, another Bourbon County brand stout from Goose Island. This time it is the 2022 version, the base version, if you will. So now I have reviewed two variants in 2024. I did the 2024 base, I did the 2020, and I did a 2023 variant that I have not released to you guys yet, and now I'm doing the 2022 base. So I'm going all the way across the board. These are fresh in my mind. I think it's fun to review them because, again, I have just tasted all these different years, and I think this is the easiest way to find out, was this good? Did this age well? Because I'm so familiar with how these taste the last 3, 4, 5 days at least. So guys, we're gonna crack into the 2022. Pardon me. So this was Best By August 10th, 27. So today is August 5th. I'm sorry, August, wow, December 5th, 2024. So we have about 4 months from August. So we're at 2 years, 4 months out from this bottle, originally bottled. So on the back, we have notes of vanilla, toffee, chocolate, burnt sugar, and dried fruit. The 2020 version didn't say that. It said different things. It said caramel and it said cherry or something. I feel like it did not say that. So I can't prove it, but I'm fairly certain it did not say that, guys. This is clocking in at 14.3%. And then this year, they didn't even really put any of the notes on the back. It was strange. They did like natural flavors. I don't know what that was about, but this was $13.99 in 2022, so really good price and availability. And let's get into this one. See how it aged. A lot of smoke on that one. That's the most I've seen. So we'll see, guys. Again, I'm not super thrilled to be aging my beers. Like I almost prefer them to be in a really, really cold cellar, which mine is not cold enough in my opinion, or I would like it refrigerated and then brought out to room temperature. So this is completely room temperature. It's probably 62 degrees down here when it was in the closet. So let's get it in the glass, guys, and see what we're working with. There's some more smoke and there's some more dark brown that merges into dark black, oily liquid, and filling it to the top. There is no head retention. I poured it slowly, but there is really no head retention whatsoever. I don't know, but this is, again, 14.3%. Let's get a nose on this 2 years aged stout. Wow, it's pretty strong. It smells almost fresh to me in a way. The signature milk and dark chocolate raisins, a slightly jammy fig. Very sweet. It smells very vanilla forward on this year's version. Dried fruit, I can see dried fruit, but let's go back to this. It still has that like caramely raisin fig plum thing. I feel like the dried fruits would be plum, fig, some raisin. I feel like it's like golden raisins as well. It's not just like the dark raisins. I'm getting more of like the lighter yellow raisins. A sugary vanilla is a very abundant thing in this. I do see that it's listed on the back. I feel like that's fair. Toffee, brown sugar, caramel, some sort of mixture of all three of those things culminating into this liquid. A touch of a barrel, just a slight little peppery touch, a little bit of wood. It's not so woody or campfire smoky though, but it smells good. It smells fresh still. And I will say it's hovering on like milk, chocolate, vanilla, burnt sugar, still caramel, and a little bit of toffee as well. So let's get into this, guys. It matters how it tastes. How has this aged for 2 years? Bourbon County, 2022. Cheers. Ooh. Ooh, barrel's still there, man. So the barrel, like, it came across pretty assertive on my first sip. I know that my palate has to adjust to that, but it came across pretty peppery, almost like a rye peppery finish. Strange. With all that being said, for being 2 years, I'm surprised I got the initial shock of the barrel like that. This one is lacking chocolatey fudge and brownie batter, which I always tend to find in Bourbon County. And I know they didn't list it anything like that this year. Well, they put chocolate. burnt sugar and dried fruit. I feel like it's missing a layer of chocolate. Like, I feel like the 2020 had more chocolate than this one. I did not review the 2021, but I feel like that one had more chocolate as well. This seems a little different, almost like there's a certain complexity to this beer that we typically get. It's maybe not there, but you're getting hit with more bursts again of like burnt sugar, caramely sugar, a little bit of Montmorency cherry, a little bit of tart cherry in here as well. Dried fig. Maybe it's not as jammy sweet as some of the other years, but this does come across with nice notes of vanilla sweetness. Again, a little bit of coffee is there. I want a little bit more roast. I kind of complain about that on a lot of years of Bourbon County. I like to see a little bit more roast, and sometimes with age that coffee does fade. But I don't know, the more I sip on this, like the barrel is still very prevalent in this beer 2 years later. I'm surprised that there's as much barrel as there is, because it comes across as a nice wet barrel still. It's not that dry woody toothpick. It's still got the oily bourbony notes. Again, borderline rye spice in this. Almost seems like a rye or a blended barrel for some reason. I don't know what barrels were used in here. I don't know, but it seems very strong. And I like it, by the way. I'm not mad about this. Raisiny, fig, plum. Again, so the fact that they put dried fruits, I feel like this is very fruity. It's a very fruity beer, and I guess it's fair to say it's not jammy, it's dry fruit. So there is this big sweetness that does kind of add on your palate along with those vanilla notes. And then you're getting that burnt sugar kind of like caramel touch, but it's not as caramel forward as some of the other years. So this is more dried fig, dry fruits, dried cherry. And I'm getting lots of that at the end of the palate, along with that barrel kind of accenting everything as well. This is actually a really good year. I just kind of, I like chocolate. I want a little bit more chocolate, but this is a dried fruit bomb. So it's a lot more cherry. It's a lot more, it's a lot more raisin and fig and plum. I mean, this is probably the most plum forward, raisin forward, maybe not even raisin, plum and fig forward that I've gotten in all of the years so far. I feel like at least the way this is aged together now, this is the most dried fruit forward of all of the years. And again, more of the burnt sugar and a little bit more of the, I would say like some sort of dark chocolate that does add into the barrel. It's not a fudgy brownie chocolate. I do like that about Bourbon County, but this year does not have that, and that's okay. It's accenting other aspects that you don't maybe necessarily think of all the time when you're drinking a Bourbon County. This one has a little bit of difference compared to the other years so far. I'm not mad about it. I do like the fudge. I do like the chocolate. This is a little lacking in that department, but everything else is pretty crazy. The bourbon is heavy, wet, and nice, and it's applying heavily on the palate. And then again, the dried figs and fruits, fantastic. Fantastic sweetness that does kind of dissipate a little bit with a little tiny bit of roast. But, you know, these are not roasty beers typically compared to like a Founders, you know, or a Bell's. They're bigger, more viscosity, more oily liquid, more syrup. This almost tastes like it has like a fruity maple syrup in it. I like this year. I'm surprised by the heat of the barrel still. It's still very tasty. I think it lacks just one little more push of depth with chocolate and or coffee, but I know some of those things fade over time. But very surprised by this barrel and everything else that accents it, guys. So rating, I think I gave this quite a high rating in 2022. I don't know if I would rate it a 4-5, but it's really good 2 years later, and there's no degradation. Just an accent on those dark fruits and the kind of sweet tart cherry. Very, very sharp in this. It's still a fun beer, man. So it's fun to see the differences. This is why it's fun to review the different years back to back to back, because you can remember the differences. It's still a hot barrel. I am shocked. Hotter than the other years. Absolutely. I'm going to go 4 out of 5. I think this aged gracefully. I do think it needs a little bit more depth. I wish there's a little bit more chocolate fudginess to this beer, a little bit more coffee roast. Probably get it closer to a 5, but that's where I sit with the 2022 Bourbon County, guys. Thank you so much for being here. It's been another review. Prost. Cheers. Yamas.